If you can find it.
I'll find somebody to do it.
If you can find it, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna buy in town, I don't care what it
die
costs,
anyway.
that's just the way it is.
No, you're right, yeah, you might as well.
If I ain't gonna do it, that's
It's
gonna
gonna bleed you to death by,
It's different.
grabbing it from out of town.
At least once.
I keep it here, I don't give a shit if it costs more, it costs more.
Mics are hot now.
Otherwise, you can sit home and make
Thank you.
comments all day, but we're gonna relinquish you of the stuff you're doing, like the rescue.
really
I'm not gonna have you do it anymore.
situations you don't want to find yourself in.
Never want.
I've tried to pawn that off too.
I want to. I'm gonna go out to the, I think it's the barbecue chicken dinner next week sometime, or the week after?
Talk about a losing
Yeah.
venture.
Sometime in the first couple weeks this month. Is it tomorrow, that quick? So I better check the, but I saw something on Facebook, it's like, I might go out to that and rummage around and see if I can get the application going.
I just gave Brian my application, so.
Who's joining the sportsman club?
Way to a meeting.
My brother is, not a member, but he hangs out and does the cooking there.
Elderly passenger.
Him and Harold do it.
I know.
Very good job.
What's it, $200 a year to join?
Like this
I heard it was up front and then it's like $100 a year or something.
Well, it's like 100, depends on what time of year you join.
all kinds of stuff.
Why is that?
Prorated.
Uh,
So I think it's
Oh, so there's a yearly, oh, okay.
The next is accident.
I got you.
if they had a pistol range, I might join.
Show anything.
They did finally?
Yeah, they had it, they put
Then
one
when I
in.
left, I hear,
Yeah, it'd be fun.
did you go over
Go
there?
down and shoot whatever you wanted.
Yep, and they feed you.
I think it's pretty
That's the good
reasonable.
news.
This case?
They
Some other
cook
case,
a lot of
what
good
we
food
found?
there.
Yeah, they do. We went over there, they were having some event and they had prime rib.
This
Recently?
conference will now be recorded.
Year and a half
Well, the
ago.
recent one they just had, what was it?
They got chicken dinner.
It wasn't chicken, it was something else.
Oh, well, I don't.
Pork loin. Pork loin, wasn't it?
We just bought ribs when they had, a couple weeks ago.
I love ribs.
We're ready.
Ready? All right, let's play. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call.
Councilmember Bellinger,
Here?
Councilmember Crumick,
Here.
Councilmember Swift,
Here,
Mayor Pro Tem Legero,
Here.
and Mayor Alves.
Here. We're gonna start the evening off with our consent calendar unless there's something I missed. Is that about where we're going with it?
Yep.
All right, let's start with that.
yeah.
Consent, go ahead.
I was gonna say, regarding the consent calendar on item number 2, I'll be abstaining from voting on check number 9782.
All right, the consent calendar, these items are considered routine in nature and act upon by a single action unless requested by an individual council member or member of the public for specific or for special consideration. Having said that, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second?
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, let's, on the next item, what do you got here? It looks like we have, what do we have here? We did consent, okay, staff communications.
Thank you, Mayor. The item before you is a discussion regarding the Liberty Business Park specific plan. City staff was recently contacted by the property owner of 350 Yosemite Avenue, which is a 12.66 acre parcel along the 120. That's been home to a strawberry stand for the last several years. The owner has a business interested in leasing and or purchasing the property to develop a 10-acre area for boat and RV storage with 2 acres of commercial equipment storage at the rear of the property that would be screened and fenced. Improvements proposed include utilizing the existing well that's on the property for water services, adding a septic system and a dump station, fencing, landscaping, and installation of large metal structures for covered storage areas for RVs or boats. Looking at maybe 70% of them covered, 30% uncovered. And those structures would also house solar for electricity needs of the property. So this parcel is a part of the 178 acres that is designated as the Liberty Business Park, and has had a specific plan adopted on that part, on those parcels back in 2007. It's that northwest corner of Escalon adjacent to State Route 120. And it's been designated as space for the growth of light industrial, rail-oriented industrial, commercial, and office uses in an aesthetically pleasing industrial park-like setting. So the Liberty Business Plan is a future major employment center for the city of Escalon and surrounding areas that would bridge contemporary agricultural industries with new technology and products. The specific plan is based off of the city's general plan, incorporates the city's water, storm, and sewer master plans, and provides the project's visions and objectives, establishes development policies, land use regulations, design standards, and a phasing plan to guide the orderly growth of that area. So the specific plan identifies specific projects under each zone that's incorporated in there. And this type of project, which would be, RV boat storage, outdoor storage, a storage facility is not listed in any of the uses under that plan. The commercial, it is labeled in the mapping in our plan as commercial, which is the frontage along the 120. It's labeled in our specific plan as a gateway, and so it's supposed to be the main attraction coming off the 120, coming into town, the gateway entrance. So the uses that are defined in that section of the land talks about large retailers and small centers that provide retail, personal and professional services, dining, leisure and recreation facilities, and then encompassing business and traveler-oriented lodging, conference facilities, et cetera. So staff is looking to the council to provide direction or further direction in exploring whether we should move forward with exploring this type of business at that location. It is only 12 to 13 acres of the 178 acres. However, once development moves forward on one of them, you may have the effect where all of the other business owners in the area may try to come forward on things as well, or projects to develop that land. The city is well aware that those properties do not have any infrastructure, water, sewer, storm. The specific plan is very specific in knowing that it's a long-range plan and that it's in process. It does appear to be a document that's pushing towards the goal of having this sometime in the future. And so realistically, it goes through all of our sewer and water capital improvement projects and such, and it lists things that are happening that we are still working on as the city, now that we've situated our sewer and water needs and are moving forward. And so that's basically what we're here to ask. The plan itself does have minor and major specific plan amendments that could be made to the document to incorporate different types of uses. However, in reading all the uses that are allowed in the specific plan and the specific plan's objectives of trying to be like a tourist area that's attracting people and having businesses and employing people and such, staff isn't comfortable at trying to move a project forward that doesn't meet this plan unless it's amended or changed to reflect that. So obviously this is probably not something that would be move forward on right away, but coming to the council looking for direction. And we do have the property owner and the potential business owner in the audience if you have any questions or want to know additional information. But at this point in time, we're just looking for some type of direction on whether to move forward with this or not.
Well, let's hear from those that are concerned about it and let's see what they have to say.
Sure.
Would you guys like to come up and talk a little bit about your project or future project or it's your intent? Give us kind of an idea what you have in mind. Would you have your name, please?
My name is Greg Yates,
Thank you, Mr. Yates.
Roxana Schott.
Thank you.
and I guess I was looking for a place to store commercial construction equipment, and I don't need the whole 12 acres. So then the idea came up if we could use it for storage to develop into an RV boat storage, an outside storage. So the 12.6 acres. I probably would use 2 to 2.5 acres for crane boom storage and maybe some forklifts and trailers and such like that. And when we started looking at it, we thought, well, there's no RV storage here in town, or boat storage. There, once we came to council, they said there is a project that has been on the books, but it hasn't moved forward yet.
It's for sale, I think, right now.
Okay, so we know there was a project that was approved on McHenry, I believe. And then just kind of watching different areas, Oakdale's full, Modesto's full, so we thought it might be a good idea to move forward there if the residents could use the spot. And then we could use the property for something, it does have a strawberry stand on it, but they're only using probably five
10
acres out of
acres.
the 12 acres, so. That was my goal, and we would fence it, have 2 entrances, one center on 120 and then an exit on Brennan there. And it would be fenced and landscaped in the front. Probably not paved at the beginning, with just, a gravel compacted lot with overhead, just a single roof covering, not an enclosed, building. We would have an office of some sort and then a dump station. It's got a well on it now, so we would have drip lines and stuff for the irrigation. We'd probably have overhead LED lights for safety and security, and then security cameras. So I don't know if that answered everything.
Well, it gives us kind of more of a background so we have something to discuss.
Where's the location exactly on that 178 acres would be my question.
It's Brennan and.
Is it at the corner of Brennan and
At the
120?
corner, and it comes, yes,
So
easterly.
it's the square lot, is it a,
A rectangular. Actually, there should be, is there a map there that you have? This is the, I didn't make copies, but this is the map right here, right here.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the piece that's for sale, that's low. And I have a better drawing here of the,
I'm gonna pass this around for them to take a look at. so
sure,
see
I
what-
have a better,
Can we get that projected on our deal or no?
Don't have it
No
electronically.
biggie.
all that.
I've seen it a million times.
I'm picturing the property in like the crane storage, would that be right on the highway or a little farther back?
We'd put it on the back side.
Are you talking like Big Grove, big high tonnage
We're
cranes?
not gonna do anything until we see it laid out written.
Yeah, we wouldn't leave the crane
Plans.
body there, just the
So-
crane boom and parking and trailers. So
Yeah, just if
the
we
crane bodies are
entertain-
stored at our maintenance
I'm
yard.
willing to entertain it, but I wanna see a lot more
Bill.
drawings.
And I'll just remind the council that we're under staff communications. We're actually not on a, item under public comment,
So we have no debate here and no
exactly,
discussion?
that's where I'm getting with that.
Discussion, yeah.
So what are we
Staff
supposed
was
to say?
staff was looking for clarification or some guidance as to whether the council would like in the future to start including some other uses that are not currently specified in the plan, such as what is being
Okay.
presented right now.
Got it. I've
Which,
already-
which would also require amendments to the plan to incorporate those. And so
Well,
it'd be a process
Let
to
me ask you
update the
this,
plan.
if we're interested, we just say we're interested, then we go
Oh,
from
I'm
there?
trying to do that, okay.
Is this property within the city limits currently?
Yes, it just doesn't have any utility services. And so without utility services, so the plan goes into the specifics of acquiring water and sewer through our capital improvements programs and over time, getting those projects done to be able to provide those services in development agreements with all of the property owners in those 178 parcel or acres, which are, there's 7 or 8 different property owners in that area, and it's still the same like that, different property owners. It's just very detailed in how they go about doing that, and so this would be specific to, at this time, that one parcel and identifying additional uses that the council would be okay with entering into that Liberty Business Park. So right now, the plan is very specific to, tourist stuff, things that would bring people in the town, retail, those type of things. And so this would be a different direction for use of that property. And by how it's being proposed, because of the lack of utilities, it would be more of a temporary use than a permanent, because they're using the existing well on site. And they would be either installing a septic system or doing some other sewer project which is not connecting to city services, so.
All right, so what you're asking for is whether or not we're interested in entertaining this?
Whether or not you want staff to continue to look into
Options?
options and
Yeah.
potential amendments to this plan
You
to
need
move
a
forward with
consensus
that.
from us?
I just need direction.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys, what do you feel like?
I'm for it.
Oh, okay with it?
That's fine, yeah.
Got it? Anybody opposing it? Okay, you've got a 5-0
Yeah.
consensus that we're wanting to look at
Fun
it.
to explore.
Is that parcel, is it made up of several separate parcels that were all acquired, or is it one
Just
178
one,
parcel?
just one. And you know, years ago when I bought it, I annexed it to the city. And then, it was commercial, then we changed it to planned development, then we changed it back to commercial. And then we had another user and we changed it back to planned development. So it's had a long history of going back and forth between planned development and, commercial. When Liberty Business Park came about, the fellow that was gonna buy my piece at the time, he had a stroke. You know, that was the end of that. So, here I am again, still farming strawberries. And, but I don't know if you saw these drawings that Greg put together or not.
They're just kind of some
They're
samples.
just kind of, just some samples. You might wanna just take a look at those, kind of have a better idea.
I mean, my big thing, I'm just picturing something conceptually like the storage area, and I don't know if it's RV storage area or what it is, as you're going into Oakdale, just past the intersection of River Road and Oakdale, they just
The-
finished a
the
bunch
new
of
one.
landscaping there.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing coming into a community.
Well, that would be a similar landscaping and fencing on the front side of what we're doing with the lighting, and that's not paved either, but they don't have any covered storage. But it would be a similar view
Yeah.
coming into Escalon as you are going into Oakdale,
Yeah.
yes.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, on the project that we approved, over there by the Ford dealership, in the city limits for that, isn't it supposed to be paved or in some form, either asphalt or concrete?
Correct.
Now, these are showing all paved environment here. Is that your intent?
No, there's a couple, that was just kind of some samples. I didn't put a whole lot of time into developing the site plan till we know if we could go forward, but there are a couple samples in there with just the compacted gravel.
Okay. It looked like, to me, okay. I see where, okay, I can see it here underneath
But it would be
this.
more of the line of the open, just the roof, the canopy covering.
All right. Well, I think you have interest on the council here, so we'll just see where it goes from here.
So would we have to do a complete map change on this zoning?
You're gonna have a bunch of meetings with her is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make
it's
sure,
gonna-
I've got a tenant out there that's had strawberries, and he's
Been a
like
while.
chomping at the bit, he's been there, I've had him for 20 years. But, so his term is up, and then Greg wants to move forward, so it kind of all hinges on, you know, if this is gonna work out or not.
Yeah, it's a large document, and so in going through it, it's specific, and so I would probably have to consult with legal counsel to figure out how to go about amending it properly to make sure it's
Do you
done
have a
right.
time frame in mind? I mean, are we talking a month, or are you talking 6 months?
We can't have discussion about that right now because it's not on the agenda item, nor is it actually for the planning commission right now. What you're asking for is well beyond what this council and staff can talk to you about during this meeting. Also, can we have a copy of that since?
They have.
I think they have copies, yeah.
you got the entire
Yeah, I
copy?
didn't put it together because it was
Okay.
like a project proposal yet.
My apologies.
That's okay, that's okay.
Okay,
Okay, so I guess,
kinda where we're at with it.
thank you so
I'll be in
much.
communication with you, and if not, call her and see where we're at with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks so much, Dominic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Next,
Item 6.
item 6.
Yes. So item 6 on the agenda is for the city council to provide direction regarding a survey for local residents for a specific sales tax relating to the water fund. City council gave staff direction regarding the sales tax measure, content to send to local residents. The recommendation is that that the city council gives staff direction regarding the content of the survey. In the past month, the council has had discussions regarding adding a sales tax measure on the 2022 election ballot specific to funding the water fund, infrastructure, and potential of creating funding for senior discounts. The staff was requested to put together a survey to send out to residents to identify if the community sales tax measure would be supported. At the city council meeting of April 19th, city council asked staff to bring the item back to the next meeting to discuss what should be included in the survey. Based on conversations from the April 19th meeting, staff needs additional direction for the survey, specifically with the following. Should this be a 2 or a 4-year tax? Should the tax provide for a senior discount to water rates? And what infrastructure should the sales tax be applied towards? The first question is the 2-year versus a 4-year tax. The staff has proposed this question based on the concern of continuing the senior discount and the efforts and costs that it would take if needing to extend the sales tax. If the city council were to choose only to go for a 2-year tax and then find it would need to, to extend it, we would need in the next 2 years to be going through a similar process and need to pay for an additional cost of an election. In regards to senior discounts, currently the city offers a $2 a month or $4 per billing discount to seniors for garbage rates, which is approximately a 15% discount. There was no percentage discussed with staff, so I took that as a baseline and put if the council were to apply the 15% discount to the water base rate, it would equate to approximately $475 per month or $950 per billing. Based on the current number of seniors receiving garbage discount rates, the discount would cost approximately $28,500 annually. If the city council were to allocate 15% of the sales tax revenues to the senior discount fund, it would provide roughly $72,000 annually. A 2-year tax will provide the senior discount for about 5 years at the proposed 15% rate. A 4-year tax will provide the senior discount for about 9 years. And staff did reach out to some surrounding cities and found that Riverbank currently offers a senior discount on the water rates. And actually so does Ripon. I did find that out after the staff report was created. They provide the discount for seniors and permanently disabled who make less than the income listed set by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. Those applying must submit an application supporting documents to ensure they do not exceed the income limits. They have designated the use of delinquent fines and penalties to fund their program. So with that statement, I went back and looked at what we had collected in fines and penalties, and I used 2019 because 2020 we didn't have any shutoffs. And we collected approximately $11,000 for late charges and disconnect fees relating to the water charges. So that wouldn't fund the potential $28,500 in that. And then staff has included a list of some of the infrastructure that the sales tax monies could be applied for. And we've attached the draft survey, which was assuming that there would be the establishment of the senior discount fund. So staff will make the necessary adjustments based on council's direction to the survey prior to sending it out.
Okay, we can have our little discussion on this.
They're asking for guidance from council.
So guidance would come from our discussion. Thank you. Anyone here would like to start? Gentlemen?
Just a quick note, the discount, if we're gonna go on a percentage, would coincide with rate increases and would go up. It wouldn't be a static number. It would change and slightly go up every year during rate increases. Not enough to make a big difference, but just so everybody thought about that. Yeah, I guess the question would be is what do we do in 9 years if we go 4 years or whatever it is? What do we do at that point? Yeah, it's no longer self-funding.
Correct.
That'll be a decision we're gonna have to deal with.
Councilman Crummage, you got anything?
Is the guidance tonight on whether or not to move forward with the sales tax measure? Is that what we're looking for? It's just, what exactly are we giving direction on?
So it was the consensus of the council to send out a survey to the residents. So
That's what we're talking about tonight. We didn't do that yet.
No, we haven't,
This is
because the
direction on
content,
sending a survey out.
the content of the survey, yeah.
Okay.
So we did the draft survey that we
Right.
had,
That's why I'm confused. 'Cause we
yeah,
did the
yeah,
draft.
sorry. So, but I want to make sure that the content is
Right.
the desire of the council for that.
I do. I think it looks good. You know, I'm not for any new taxes, but that's the beauty of if we go through the process and you put it on and you let people decide, like we had with our last one, and you let the taxpayers decide, I think the content is fine, actually. I think it's well laid out, and I have no problem moving forward with it.
Councilman Swift.
Yeah, I'm looking at that draft letter that you would be sending out to everybody. In fact, I think that's what's on the screen right now.
Correct.
And I agree with Councilmember Crunch. I think it looks great. My big concern is if we're gonna do a program for senior discounts, and if it's gonna be an ongoing program, right now, we're setting ourselves up into a situation where, yeah, it's gonna run out. And when that runs out, it's gonna be a situation where, you know, any kind of a discount or anything like that, people get used to it. It's just, there's no right or wrong about it. They just get used to it.
Sure.
And so then when that discount's taken away, yeah, it's unpopular. And I think that if we want to establish a program for senior discounts, which is a great idea, I think it needs to be ongoing. And that's the only trepidation I have with that language that says, would you support a 2-year or 4-year or whatever? I mean, to me, I think that, would you support a half-cent sales tax measure for infrastructure? That's my
So
only
the
concern.
question was, from staff, was whether we want to present it as a 2-year or a 4-year. So the letter or survey that's currently been put together actually says it would be a 2-year increase.
I-
But it would limit the funding for a senior program if you included a senior program.
And I don't know if you, by saying 2-year or 4-year on it, if that's gonna make a voter more palatable to vote for. I just don't know.
So I wasn't asking to put 2 or 4-year on the survey. I was asking whether the council wants 2 or a 4-year tax on the survey.
Okay, then I guess my answer is neither. So,
All right, Council Pro Tem.
That $480,000 is based on 2 years, a 2-year increase,
That's an annual increase.
$480,000 a year. So that's a pretty significant chunk of money for some of the projects that we have.
I thought we were at half that though, a year, and that represents 1 year or 2 year? The 40, I was understanding it was like 240, 250 per year.
No, I'm,
Just sorry, Chuck.
yeah, no, you're fine.
Trying to clarify it. How much money are we actually gonna generate off of it?
Yeah.
What time frame?
Let me see if I have. No.
In the flyer, it says 480.
Yeah, I know it's in the flyer, but I got the number from our consultant, and I was looking to see if I had the documentation from our sales tax consultant to confirm it. But unfortunately, I don't.
So that, I agree that we might as well put it out to the community and, give them the input, see how they want to pay for this type of infrastructure. And if they're in support of it, then we move forward. I think 2 years is a pretty quick turnaround. 4 years stabilizes things a little bit more. There's a lot of projects that once they're done, they're gonna, potentially buy us some time to where we won't have to raise the rates quite as rapidly as they've had to go up recently. So, I would say at least 4 years, but like Robert, I have a real problem creating a sunset on the senior discount. I think the benefit comes from offsetting some of the cost in the infrastructure projects. Those are gonna be the long-term effects of this, to keep the rates down to begin with. It would be nice to have the option to include the senior discount in this tax revenue. I think we need to be, more forward-thinking and longer-term thinking about senior discounts and how we can offset the impact of them. The one important way to do that is by reducing the amount of money we're spending in infrastructure and capture those dollars through a broader group of people passing through town, with the sales tax, so I think it's worth following up on.
All right, well, I think everyone's covered about everything. What is the actual, sales price or sales tax rate, if this passes? What's it gonna be?
We're currently at 7.75, so it would be 8.25.
8.25, and that's in line with the communities around us. I think, what is Manteca?
I was like 9 or something, isn't it?
I'm not sure,
And
yeah.
Modesto, I believe, is 8-something.
875.
875. All right, now there is concerns, of course, that the local businesses are gonna be impacted by this. I'm not sure how much it's gonna impact them. I hope it doesn't. Our intent is not to, hurt our businesses. But the beauty of it, I think you mentioned it, and I agree totally, is the fact that we're gonna have people help pay for our water, who drive through this town every day, who buy gas, buy food, and buy other things that are taxable for us. So it's almost like doubling the size of your town without the impact. So for that reason, and again, I'm not a tax advocate because I really hate taxes. And I think sometimes they get abused. And this is one thing that worries me as well, is that we need to make sure this money goes exactly where it's supposed to go. And there is no sidetracking or diverting or borrowing. This money is specifically set aside for the purpose of these items we discussed on that list, and that's where that money has to go in order to maintain integrity and transparency. So, having said that, I'm pretty much on board with everyone. So,
Mr. Mayor, I got one question.
sure,
This, again, what we're talking about tonight is just the survey, right?
Correct, just sending out the survey to see.
Once the survey goes out, when's it going out?
Well, I mean, that depends upon direction, so.
Okay, sure. And then, once we get it back, whenever that is, then we'll look at the results, and then we kind of move forward in the
Yeah,
discussion.
and evaluate whether we want to
I don't wanna
actually
get ahead
put
of
it on the
myself.
election.
Obviously, I'm sure we all got a million questions about this thing, but we'll wait to get the survey back, right? And then we go from there, right? Might just clarify? Okay.
Is that something with the accounting, Tammy? Sorry for another question, but, okay, first year one's done, we've recognized X amount of revenue from that $0.50. Are we gonna move funds from the general over to the water fund? Is that how we guarantee that that money is in the proper spot?
Well, the
Are we allowed to
monies
do
would,
that? Or
the
is it gonna
monies would go
directly
directly
It would go directly,
into the water fund.
so we're gonna
then.
have the same threshold as we did the last tax that we attempted to pass with a 2/3 vote? Is that correct?
As far as the voting?
Yeah.
Yes, you would
Okay,
have to
so we're
pass it
going
with
for
a
the
2/3, correct.
Okay, just want to clarify where we're going with that.
Yes.
okay, so I think the direction of the council, what I understand is we're in favor of it. So as it is written, is that good to go? Does anyone have any opposition to it as it is written?
Again, I would still prefer either, not having it sunset on it. If I had to go with 4, I'd go with 4 years.
Is that
Just
the-
too short for me
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, so we have two too short, no sunset. Anyone else?
I think you need to put a sunset clause on it. I think the voters would be pretty unhappy if it was a ongoing process. I think, at least it forces us to come back and revisit it with the voters, if they approve it and they wanna go forward with it. It's always good to, revisit these things.
I think I agree with you. I think that's a good point to bring up. I think, I agree with everyone else that what their points are in terms of letting it run a long time, but at the same time, you're gonna have to want these people to swallow this thing, and without that, it might be a hard swallow.
So maybe your compromise is 4. Go with 4.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that,
So I'll change it to a proposed 4-year tax.
with the sunset. Make sure we put that in there, and then,
And so
also,
we're gonna continue, and keep the senior discount in that survey then?
I think we need that as an option to do with the money.
Do I, specify that after that it's, the senior discount could end in approximately 9 years?
No, I think that's something that when we want to re-up this 4 years from now, if it passes, then I think that's provision in there, that 4 years from now, would you like to continue this sales tax increase one of the reasons too is it will continue our senior discount program.
Because we only have
But I don't,
4
I don't
years
like,
left.
Visit at that
I
time.
don't like the lack of transparency. If it's a 9-year thing, let them know.
Okay.
I don't wanna lie. I don't like
Well, I
lying.
mean, if the tax is 4 years, I basically did the math calculation out because what we're retaining each year at that 15% is greater than what 1 year of discounts would be. So I took it out to see how long it would last.
Fine, I like transparency. I do not like the
Well,
lack
that-
of it.
And that's calculating it at a 15% discount.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
That number, we have a lot of leadway in that number. You can make
Yeah, so, and then that would be the other thing. The other cities, Riverbank and Ripon, they require residents that get this, that they actually turn in income tax returns, to verify income. Ripon has 2 different levels of discounts. So it depends upon where they fall in the, income level. So they offer it to, the low and, actually, it's just to the low.
Well, the whole purpose was to help the people who couldn't do it. That was the whole point of this thing.
Yeah.
How does Ripon fund their program?
They don't, they didn't have a designated funding mechanism on it, but kind of along the same lines as Riverbank with their late fees and discount,
Maybe you do
disconnects.
a combination of the two.
Exactly. 'Cause it's,
Yeah, the point is, we have other options and other mechanisms. We could use them both in concert and resolve it. I mean, we could keep it going.
I'm sorry, stuff's coming, I got another question. So right now, we have a senior discount, right?
We only have a senior discount on the garbage,
Not on water.
not on water or
How
sewer.
did that garbage discount come about? Was
So-
it the same process, or?
No, so garbage is negotiated with Jolton, and those monies are paid from, like the general fund covers that operating.
Okay.
So it's not being paid for by the ratepayers. So if you did it in the water fund, you'd have to increase everybody others, all the other ratepayers'
Make
rates
up
to
for it.
cover it.
So it's 2 separate things. Garbage is completely
Yes.
separate from water.
And we get franchise fees from garbage, so we get less franchise fees to cover those discounts.
Okay, so just hypothetically, if you were to set a water discount for a certain age group, right, like a senior discount, because that affects the city and the funds coming in, does that have to go through this kind of process, or is that something that the city council can just enact? Like, we're going to have, once you hit 62 or you, certain income level, this is your water rate. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, you guys can enact that, but you have to identify where those funds are gonna cover that discount.
Where they're gonna
And
replace
it can't come from the rates that are collected from other ratepayers. So it basically would have to come from your general fund.
Gotcha. So the sales tax measure is 2-part. It's to enable us to provide that discount on water rates, and it's also to fund certain water projects. Is that?
Correct.
Okay, I'm just trying to wrap my, thank you.
Okay.
And maybe that clarifies it a little bit better, where you put the senior discount as one of the potentials without so much detail about whether it's 15% or, is that,
Right, and that's not in the current survey. So, I mean, I kept it generic. I was asked at the last meeting, like, what kind of discount would we give? So I put those items in the staff report to try and narrow down what it is that the council wants in the survey.
Well, I think there's a lot of merit here. The fact that we're gonna try to do something for the seniors that are having hard time with water bills, that's one. 2, we're finding a funding source can help our infrastructure, because we fell behind in some costs. I think that's important. And I think if people realize, and they look at this as it's presented, and we don't try to pull any shenanigans or not tell the total truth, we'll be fine. I think it's up to them to make that decision. I mean, that's what they're there for, and that's why we have surveys. And hopefully they'll see the good in it, and they'll pass it, and we'll be fine. If they don't, well, it's like anything else, that's life. So, We have the consensus to move forward, and I believe it's okay the way we discussed it. Is that correct, gentlemen?
So the only change that I'm making on here is that it's gonna be a 4-year tax.
That's correct.
ultimately. Okay.
Can we clarify the estimated revenue that that's gonna generate, either annually? or-
Yeah, I can try and
That would be good.
put that in there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also explain to them what that rate will be for the next 4 years. And are we gonna be able to?
You were, I'm sorry, Councilman Legero, Mayor Pro Tem Legero. You were saying clarifying the annual, what that 480 is, right? Confirm that amount, whether it's annual or not, okay.
Yeah, is it
Yes.
whatever number you use, is it for the full
Okay.
4 years, or is it annual?
Okay.
Now, is it mentioned in anywhere that, there'll be other people paying for this besides the locals? Is that mentioned in the flyer at all? It should be brought up. I mean, it's important that it's brought up. Because it's important they know that they're not getting stuck with the whole thing. That's part of it, and we're trying to sell this thing in a positive way, so I think we should bring that up.
That's a really good point, because I think that's something that I think some people misunderstand.
Right.
you
But
know.
if we have the outside influence on this thing, it's gonna reduce the burden on the local people here. and it's-
Yeah, I was just trying to keep it to one page, so I'll have to try,
No,
I'll
I
have
think that's
to-
a really critical point to put up.
And put a sentence or so in that introductory paragraph up top,
yeah.
just to spread the cost, or,
Outside participants will be paying for part of it. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Because we do have a large influx of people through this town annually. 5 million go through that town supposedly, going from east to west. And then from north to south, I think there's another 5 million or something like that. So with those types of numbers, I gotta believe we'll do much better. Cause our little town is 7,200 or 7,300. I mean, they'll dwarf us. So the majority of that money could possibly come from outside influence.
Now, if you look at the infrastructure that we're talking about, and then you add the surface water program, whatever that's gonna end up costing, and passing that cost along, you can have, the smaller group paying the fee, in order to pay for all these things, or they pay a lower fee for their water rates, and then you just reach out to significantly more people as far as paying a tax to offset this. So they're gonna pay one way or another. It's gonna be a fee or a tax, which are probably the same thing, but,
Pretty much.
if you've got everybody driving through town that's paying towards that tax, it's a pretty
Well,
good selling point.
the beauty about a sales tax, a lot of people can write off the sales tax too, in business. So that won't be so bad for the people in business. All right, so we're gonna have something in there mentioning that it'll be shared with those going through our town. It's gonna mention as Council Pro Tem asked for, which was the rate of money. we're gonna do.
Clarify the annual rate.
Okay, good. And was there anything else, gentlemen, that we forgot? I think that covers it or not?
Add the expiring to the senior
4 years,
rate.
yes, exactly. Okay, are we good? It sounds like
Yes.
we're good. There you
Okay.
go.
All right, so I do have just a couple more, staff communications. I wanted to give the council a couple of updates. I just want to let the council know that there have been some issues with the high school pool. Apparently, there was a pump that was shut off during some warmer weather that has caused some algae in the pool. So for the last 2.5 weeks, our Public Works has been going over and doing some maintenance on the pool themselves to try and get this prepared for swim lessons. Today, they did have a meeting with NOR, who holds the contract with the school district, to discuss the situation. They feel confident that they can get this pool back in shape, but there will be some extra cost in order to be able to get that done. They're putting a high concentration of chlorine in there to get rid of the algae, and then we need actually like an outside vacuum pump to try and vacuum it all out of there. It could be an extra $3,000 total, but that would be about $1,200 to the city, because we pay almost 40% of cost. We are working with the district staff to find the resolution to the current issue and moving forward. Right now, our goal is that we will have the pool ready for swim lessons. So we're gonna keep on that track and hopefully we don't have any snags there. We do currently have 8 of the lifeguard applicants that are doing testing May 15th and the 16th. So after that testing, we'll have a better understanding of how many lifeguards we really have. We have 3 that are qualified right now, but we have 8 that still are going to testing, and then that'll give us, that'll define what lessons we can actually provide and how many lessons we can
How
provide.
did the pump get turned off?
That's my question.
Nobody is quite sure.
Who's responsible for the pump?
The school district's responsible for maintenance right now.
So they be reimbursing us for the cost that we've already incurred?
Yeah, well, I'll be having those discussions. Right now, the concentration is to try to get the pool open, because at the rate that it was, we weren't gonna have a pool for
What's the
summer.
projected date to open?
June 14th is when we anticipate, starting swim lessons. We take it, I think, June 7th.
For open swim,
We're not doing we weren't planning to open swim. Swim lessons alone are gonna require parents to get in the pool with them at this
Okay, that's the
point.
14th?
Yes.
What is the 7th?
The 7th is when we officially get the pool. The lifeguards will be do training at the pool that week on swim lessons, and then swim lessons would start on the 14th.
Very good.
So
But you're saying that they're gonna require a parent?
right now, the way the regulations are is that a parent would have to be in the water with the
Or in the water?
with the child, yeah,
That'd be interesting.
That's interesting.
at certain levels.
Kids aren't gonna be swimming this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, unless
Can they have a
the
proxy?
whole, unless the opening on June 15th changes that, but based on current guidelines, that's where we're at.
Can the parent have a proxy? What if the parent was disabled, for example?
Well, yeah, I mean,
So there
yeah,
are-
you have to have an adult in the water with
There
the
we go.
child.
That's a little better. Because the
So-
lifeguard's an adult, most of them. All right.
Well, they can assign the lifeguard
I
to be in,
understand.
unless it's a relative, I guess, unless
got
it's their
it.
sibling.
Thinking of it. No. All right.
So, and then just an update on Chamber Nation. We sent, they sent the email out on the city's behalf to the, regarding the free investment for the first 100 businesses. They got 19 businesses that have acknowledged they would be interested in the program.
Great.
They tried to call some of the businesses today that do not have emails on their business license. And unfortunately, they found that some of the businesses haven't provided very accurate information on their business license or haven't updated
There
it.
we go.
So, they were having a struggle trying to get a hold of them. So the plan right now is that they're gonna send out 2 more emails, try to get a hold of those other businesses, one this week, one next week. And then at that point, we can evaluate it. They also made a recommendation of potentially building out, we have approximately 100 businesses with emails, potentially building out those businesses and letting the companies, once it's built out in the app, let them opt in or opt out at that point. But getting the app out there to be used so that businesses can share, spread the word that what this product is. But we'll wait for a couple of weeks to see what responses we get from the next 2 emails. And then on tonight's agenda was supposed to be the bathroom project. I'm still waiting on some updated pricing from the vendor, so I'll bring that back at the next meeting.
Okey-dokey.
And that's all I have for staff communications.
All right. So we'll be moving on to matters presented from the audience.
Correct.
The public may address the city council on any item that is on the agenda. At the time the item is called, the public may also address the city council on any item not on the agenda that within the authority of the city council, Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 5 minutes. Unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. The determination of the whether an item is within the authority of the city council's discretionary decision made by the mayor. All right, is there anyone this evening who would like to come up and speak on any item on the agenda or not? If you do, now's the time. And just please give us your name.
My name's Terry Anderson. I live at 1633 Yosemite Avenue. And my mother-in-law, she lives right next door at 1625 Yosemite Avenue. There's a duplex right there on the corner of Yosemite and Stanislaus. We have a sidewalk that comes down the street, and there's no sidewalk there for children to walk on, but we have a walkway that goes down to the street. And we've asked the city if we could put up a handrail. My mother-in-law, she's got osteoporosis. She's been a resident of Escalon for 68 years, and all we're wanting is to put up a handrail there so she can get up the little slope that goes into our yard.
Off the street?
From the street, yes. I got pictures.
And there's no sidewalk, it's just your front yard. I know where you live. I mean, I know that corner.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, staff, what do you have to say?
I mean, and they're talking about putting a sidewalk there in about 10 years or so. I mean, but what you've got right there, there's no way kids can walk down there safely anyway across from the high school. I mean, they gotta cut through our yard as it is.
Is that the only corner that's, everybody else has sidewalk, or just that corner missing it?
Just that corner.
And-
Every other side of the property has sidewalk all the way down between Yosemite, from Stanislaus, all the way to the other
How long
street
is
there.
that stretch approximately?
Of our yard,
Yes,
maybe 150 feet.
30 yards, okay. All right, let's find out what staff knows about it, or do they? The staff?
I can give it-
So
To see where your property is and what you want to do.
generally speaking,
Well,
there's,
this is public comment too, or
Okay,
matters
so we
presented
really
from
can't
the
do much?
audience, so.
Okay, well, Mr. Anderson, we are in a
That where you were
position here where
going,
this
yeah.
wasn't on the agenda, so
Correct.
obviously we're not gonna be able to do much discussion, but I will tell you this. I would direct staff to look into it and get
Okay.
back to you. And then if it's, something we can't deal with, without more input, we'll get more input and we'll have the council make a call on if we have to.
The only other thing I've got is right there too, there's a red zone on that corner,
Okay,
and there is no driveway into the property.
okay,
And so we've asked for a handicap parking. She's been handicapped since 2015, had a permit for it. City's declined us on that also, and we're hoping to, maybe, I've got a little sign there that says for senior citizen parking, only trying to deter high
Is that on-
school
is that
students
on
from
the
parking
street
there.
there you're referring to?
Excuse me?
On the street is what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, so you're asking for a parking place there
Yes,
designated for handicap?
and a handrail. And I'm not asking it for 60 years.
No, I
mean,
understand.
She may be around for 10 or 15 more if we're lucky.
I get it,
Yeah,
okay.
and
So you're
when
looking
she's
from-
gone, it's gone.
So you're looking from your residence out to the edge where the grass stops?
Yes.
At the gutters where you want the handrail?
Correct,
And your parking spot that you're talking about is from that sidewalk to the red zone?
correct.
Is where you're trying to book into just at that one spot there?
Yes, that's it.
That's what you're looking for?
Okay, well, again, we can't do anything this evening on it, but I would hope, and I'd like to direct the staff to look into it. And hopefully we get some feedback and we'll see where we can go with it.
Should I return in a couple of weeks?
I'll tell you what, why don't we get your name
Okay,
and number and give it to staff, and they will keep you in contact with what they're doing, and they'll save you a trip down there. Now, if you're not satisfied, you can always come back and let me know.
well, if I don't hear from you, I'll probably come
Yeah,
back.
same here, same here. Yeah, I know.
I've
exactly.
gone through all the hoops already, and I've just been told so many times.
Well, let's see what we can do. Yeah, I don't know if we have anything in the budget for this time of year, or what the heck we're doing, but we're gonna find out.
Well, I'll put in the rail myself. I'm not asking you to do
The
that.
rail's on the sidewalk, you're part of the sidewalk.
Yes, my
Not a
part,
sidewalk, it's just his walkway up from the,
That's,
So why is that a problem, I wonder?
because it's on city property and
Oh, the
in the
sidewalk.
in the
Oh.
easement.
right away.
it's in the
I
public
get
Right
right
away.
I get it, okay.
It's not like I'm trying to decorate it or nothing. I'm just trying to, she's got osteoporosis, and with
Yes,
that,
sir.
with that slope, she even has the wheel walker, and with the brakes on it, it'll even tip her over. She's almost fallen a couple times. So I'm just
Okay.
trying to get her some help.
Well, let's see what we can do.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We have a pretty good staff. Usually they can fix almost anything.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Now, what's the setback there, or what is this, the city property, is 5 feet, 4 feet?
That's the easement you're talking
The
about?
public
From the
right-of-way is
gutter.
typically the first 10 feet of the area from the curb.
So there'd be
And so
nothing.
the sidewalk is 4 feet, 2 inches.
We're actually, the property line's actually from the curb to the right-of-ways to the telephone pole that's on the property there.
Okay. All right, so technically, there's nothing preventing you from putting a rail from the front all the way up to whatever that right of way.
No, I just can't put it down from the curb. and
Where she
that-
has to get up.
Really,
But that slope is right to the is right by there, so.
Got it.
thank you.
Put an escalator in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, is there anyone else this evening who'd like to speak on any item not on the agenda or on the agenda?
No, just not on the agenda right
Not
now.
on the agenda, I was confused here. Okay, so it's not on the agenda, you can talk about it. And it doesn't look like we're gonna have any takers, so we're gonna close that down and move on. All right, where did that leave us? Let's see here. Administrative matters.
So item number 7 is consideration of accepting an agenda policy. At the last meeting, staff presented an agenda policy. The city council requested changes to the draft policy regarding the procedure for the city council. With the assistance of the city attorney, the policy has been updated to reflect those changes. There has not been written guidance regarding adding items to the city council agenda. The purpose of the policy is to clarify for staff, council, and the public how an item may be added to the agenda by the city council and the public. The policy outlines how a member of the city council or public member would add an item to an agenda utilizing the attached form. Agendas are typically posted on the Thursday prior to a meeting, and all timelines have taken this into consideration. A consensus of 2 council members are needed in order for a council member to have an item placed on the agenda. A city council member would need to submit a form at least 8 days prior to the meeting. The 8 days gives staff time to inquire to the other council members whether there is support of at least one other council member and create a staff report if necessary. Additionally, a council member may request an item to be placed on a future agenda during a council meeting. Support by at least one other council member is required for the item to be placed on a future agenda. If requested during a council meeting, no form shall be required, but additional information on the item may be requested of the council member. A member of the public may request an item to be placed on the agenda. By submitting a form requesting the item to be placed on the agenda, the form would be shared with the council at the following regular meeting. If the item is supported by the majority of the council, it will be placed on a future agenda. Any items that a requester would like to be included in the agenda item must be submitted at least 6 days prior to the regular city council meeting. This allows staff time to review and integrate materials with the staff report. Attached to the staff report is a revised agenda policy and submittal form.
Councilman Swift, what do you got?
Well, I think this addressed the concerns we had at the last meeting about it, and I understand the spirit of having some semblance of an agenda policy. So yeah, at this point, I think we're okay.
All right, Councilman Bellinger, what do you have?
I'm okay with it. I think that in the future, if we see that it's causing some unknown obstruction to our efficiencies, we can always change it.
Good thinking. Councilman Crummage.
If we're gonna bring up something for an agenda and look for support from another member, would that be brought up council communications, obviously? Is that the correct time, or would it be at any point during the meeting?
It would be during council communications.
Okay, I think it's fine.
Okay, Mr. Pro Tem.
I support it.
Okay. One thing I want to say is that at the end there, it says that if you're, some way you can't get it on there for some reason, my question is, what if we had 3 council members that said we needed to get it on now? What would we do then? Would that supersede that?
Well, I mean, if staff didn't have time to prepare the staff report, or,
Or if they said they wouldn't be able to, but the staff or the council felt it was important that we got it, would we have an override on that we could get it done?
I mean,
Yeah, I believe, yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor. It just may be there's no staff report prepared for it, but you could certainly get.
Just
it
want to
on
make
the
that
agenda,
clear.
So it could at least be discussed.
Just want to make it clear. Very good. Then, and with that in mind, I'm all for it myself. So gentlemen, we're gonna take a vote on this, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Anybody wanna make the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to move on staff's recommendation.
All right, we have the motion.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay? None. Okay, it carries 5-0. All righty, that moves us down to communications, council communications. Let's
Oh,
start.
we got one more item, A.
I missed one. Let's see, planning commission appointment. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At the beginning of the year, the city council approved the 2020 local appointments list and confirmed all appointments needed for the 2021 local appointments list. Recently, Mayor Pro Tem Legero requested to vacate his appointment on the Planning Commission Appointment Committee. Therefore, another council member must be appointed to the unfilled position. The term of this appointment expires December 31st of 2022. So the qualifications for that committee is that they are a council member appointed by the city council or appointed by the mayor and then supported by the city council. The meetings are on an as-needed basis, which, as you recall, we did have planning commission applications out about a month ago, and we have received applications, and so we are looking to move forward with interviews and appointing those positions. And that would be staff contacting you and setting up an appointment that would hopefully mix well with your schedule for the both of you to attend at the same time. So currently, the mayor is one of the representatives, and then we'll need another council member appointed as the second representative. And so we recommend that the council or mayor approve an appointment of a council member and appoint them to the Planning Commission Appointment
I would
Committee.
nominate Councilman Bellinger.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Looks like Mr. Bellinger's in the planning commission business.
There we go.
Right.
All right.
Sounds like low man on the totem pole, the way that just went, didn't it?
It's like the Army, don't volunteer for anything.
That's voluntold right there.
There you go. All right, I think that moves us down to council communications. Let's start with Councilman Swift.
Yeah, really, all I have tonight is, or this is kind of sort of within the spirit of the item agendization subject that we just talked about. What I'd like to entertain with the rest of the council is the possibility of putting an item on the agenda. And what is that? If you can picture 3rd Street as it approaches Highway 120, okay, you got the post office on one side, and of course you have, you know, an accounting firm. Oh, is that a dairy service next to it?
I think so,
Yeah.
Then you have
yeah.
a corner building.
There's a house on the one corner.
So at any
corner.
rate, there's about 3 car lengths, and this was approached by the property owner in all transparency,
I like transparency.
about can they, right now, it is a very, very, very faded red curb, if you're looking at it. Okay, you'll go, oh, I guess you could interpret that as a red curb. From what I'm understanding, it was painted years ago when it was a truck route there, and of course, the line of sight issues, and there, you know, so that was part of the reason that, you know, that, from what I'm understanding, why that whole entire, well, maybe about a 3-car stretch was parked there. Now, if you're familiar with that area, parking's at a premium, and what I'd like to propose is we agendize the item for the next meeting to maybe 2 of the, don't give all, the first 15 feet or so, right next to Highway 120, I can see that as a real live line of sight issue. So you go past that a little bit, and again, that's still in that red curb area.
Right before the laundromat, but the car wash, is that what we're talking about?
No, this is on
Along
3rd
3rd
Street.
Street.
3rd Street,
Post office
By
road.
the post
Yeah.
office.
by the post office, where it goes out to the highway,
Mm-hmm.
where Roxanne's property is, on the corner.
Oh, is that your property? Oh, yeah, you're on the other side of the street. You're on the other side of the street.
And then
Okay.
the 2-story building's on that side.
Yeah, yeah,
so
okay. Yeah.
What do you want to do with the intersection there? I don't get it.
No, just,
Oh.
right now, there's basically 3-car lengths worth of faded red curb there.
On the right or left-hand side going?
On the
North or
opposite of
south
Roxanne's side. South
Okay,
side,
That would
On the
be
south
the west
side.
side,
Okay.
actually, but anyway.
yeah. What I'd like to do is see if we can allow 2 cars to park there. In other words, change that red curbing zone to like your typical parking zone. leave the first 15 feet as you get closest to Highway 120 as a red curve, because there is a bona fide line of sight issue there. But allow essentially a couple extra cars to be able to park on that street, because again, parking's at a premium around there.
Okay.
And all I'd like to do is see if we'd like to entertain the thought of putting it on the next next meeting's agenda.
Okay, does that something have to go through the like that, or can't we just do that with staff?
Red curb, with our municipal code, can be updated by the city manager with the city council's permission.
Well, gentlemen, as you want a consensus?
I don't-
No, so
Gonna put it
just
on
as
the
the,
agenda.
Yeah,
just
just
one support from one council member, then we'll bring it back to you guys for
All right, I
approval at the
support it.
next meeting.
I support it.
Wouldn't we want to talk to somebody about the line of sight there, if we're going to do this right?
We want the chief here for a
Right.
discussion.
And
Well,
we would
and-
definitely have that assessed and on the staff report for the next meeting. I did talk to Justin about it, our superintendent, and he went out there and did his own evaluation, and he could see that it can be shortened up to the 15 feet from the corner, and we think that that would be sufficient. So we had just warned that once it's not red curb anymore, it's public parking open to anyone in the public, and so none of the businesses there can designate it their own. It's open to first come, first serve, so.
Okay,
Okay, and that's it. That's all I
okay,
have.
beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilman Bellinger, did you have something?
No, I'm actually good for the evening. I'll let it go to the next.
How about Councilman Crummage?
So during council communications, I just wanted to clarify with the legal counsel, is it a discussion or is it just me saying words one way? Is there any, can I ask questions too? I'm not sure, I don't know if I've done it wrong in the past.
Gotcha. For the most part, it's just you giving your communications.
Okay,
Sure, there's times that you might need just
clarification.
clarifications from staff, but this is your chance to actually.
Say it, put it out there.
Put it out there
Opine.
and see.
Opine, yeah. Okay, well, I don't have too many things, just a few things to spitball. I was gonna ask about the bathroom, so thank you for bringing that up, and I guess next meeting we'll find out a little bit more about that. I did message the city manager and the chief about the body cameras that our police officers wear, and it sounded like there was some technical difficulties or something, so I just wanted clarification on that publicly about the body cameras that our officers wear and the vendor that we're using. Is that possible to get any sort of feedback on that?
Yeah.
Which part do you want to know about?
It sounded like from what I've learned so far that maybe they're not working. Are they all working
No,
all the time?
The cameras all work. We've got a mixture of Wi-Fi, which is a current updated software firmware model. We do have a mixture of some that don't have the capability of Wi-Fi. With that comes, when the car is activated, if the camera's been synced to the car, it will turn the camera on. However, all of them don't work that way. We have to maintain our own server, which I think we're good for the next
5 years.
5 years. However, we have run out of space. Common space usage or storage on a server is right around 3 terabytes because of the current climate of law enforcement across the country. We store up to 7 terabytes, which the server can become clogged. There's accidental activations of cameras. We have to catch those and everything else. They are problematic. The one biggest problem we're having right at the moment is getting hardware from the manufacturer.
Well, and I think when we did the last upgrade with the server, there was several glitches within the system that the manufacturer did. And the manufacturer has not been very responsive as of recently. And there is another up-and-coming manufacturer of body cams that a lot of cities are going to that we are currently looking at researching and potential, because we were trying to get some license plate readers through the current body cam vendor, and even paid for some software, and we just can't get a response from them. So we were looking at what are alternatives out there to get a better customer service base. There's been some issues with the batteries, and uploading of their videos. But we have the video, it's just getting it onto the server sometimes that there's been a couple of snafus on.
Yeah, and obviously the reason I bring it up, obviously, things going on in the world, and I can't think of a worse snafu to have if we're not doing our homework or making sure we've done our due diligence, is to have, some missing video at a critical point, either to protect the police officer or to protect somebody else. And so it is important to me that, that is a pretty smooth operation. And so I guess keep moving forward with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and the other advantage to the other vendor that we're currently looking at is they store in the cloud. We don't have to maintain that storage. So they're maintaining the storage. So as the chief was pointing out about running out of storage area,
won't
that wouldn't
happen.
be the issue. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Just to expand on that real quick.
Yes, sir.
The LPR, license plate reader stuff, I just found out that's all integrated in this other manufacturer that we're
Right.
looking at.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds great. Thank you. Okay, I also would have a request for some support to put an item on the agenda, and I kind of have a feeling that since we adopted the new agenda policy, now that it's clearly defined on how to do it, we may get a lot more put on there, and so staff might have just worked themselves into a pickle here. But so I wanted to see if there's any support out there. I'm not going to belabor the issue, but I do feel like the cost of the variance requests being $1,100 for the first one to go before Planning Commission and another $600 plus to go before the council, I think those are excessive, and I think that we need to look at that cost to bring it down. And so that, I'm not going to harp on it. I just want to know if there's any support from any of you guys to put that on agenda item to discuss it.
I'd give you the second, just to discuss it and find out what we need to find out to make a better decision.
Thank you.
Does it, I don't know what timing is, but if it's not the next council meeting, if it's the following meeting, is that
I think that's
acceptable?
Sure.
I mean, we'll do what we can. I know of other items that are on the agenda, so that's why I'm saying that.
absolutely, just to get it formally on paper and so we can discuss it and
Okay.
kind of hash it out. Thank you. The last thing I have, it's maybe a lighter topic, but it looked like the city, we've kind of redone the horseshoe pit at the Hogan Park. I think that's pretty awesome. I was out there and there was that big hump from however many millions of horse game shoes, and it's built up. And so it looks like we're making that a nice place. 'Cause I know a lot of people use that, so that was
Yeah,
kind of nice to see.
Public Works took care of that.
Yeah, I saw them out there. So other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Pro Tem. You.
All right. I appreciate the fact that the city is prioritize the swim lessons, and we'll worry about who's gonna pay for what down the road, but just to make sure that that pool is ready to go for whatever swim lessons look like. I think it's a former mayor, former council member, Gary Haskin legacy to make sure that we always have swim lessons. So COVID kind of put a wrinkle in that, but we'll keep trying to keep that legacy alive.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the point that Peter made on the body cam footage. That's, in my line of work, that stuff is outstanding. Great information to get. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it hurts, but ultimately it has an impact on the case one way or another. So I don't know if there's economy of scales by joining with some of the other agencies in the area and getting onto their contracts or seeing who they're using, but definitely cloud-based is the way to go. I don't know if we have evidence.com.
That would be part of it.
Yeah, so it's all Axon then, I take it.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's,
Did we mention it was unlimited in the cloud?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's a great investment, and it can pay for itself in one incident. So definitely something you want to make sure is working properly, and if you need support from the council, you'll certainly get it to do it right. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, how are we doing with our coaches for the kids and the different sports teams?
Baseball started this last Saturday, and all teams had coaches, so.
Perfect. And how about teams paid for? We get any donations to help pay for some of these teams?
Yeah, we got sponsorships.
Perfect. All right, Scully, I talked to Pat Brown a little bit about Mr. Scully's presentation and tried to give her some insight.
And that's the Chamber Nation, right? Yeah.
I assume that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying it for
Okay.
those that don't know
Okay.
Richard Scully.
And she said that she could make, I said, but you can, I believe it's still, she can watch it. Is it cataloged?
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yes, it's
Where would
on
she find
YouTube.
that?
It's on our YouTube channel,
And in what area would she find that?
in
Would it
our
be under-
videos. It's labeled.
It's just videos. Okay,
Uh-huh,
good.
yeah.
Well, maybe we could reach out and show her because,
I've emailed her.
okay, good enough. But I
Yeah.
wanted her to look at it. I mean, I think it has potential. I wasn't sure she was sold on it, but I think she should at least look at it. Okay, since I read, where am I here? Video okay. I did that. Oh, there's a sign down on Brennan. Have we put that back up yet? Street sign?
I don't know which sign.
If you drive, coming from Antigua and turn right on Brennan, there's a sign that's down on the left-hand side. I think that's our sign. I could be wrong. Is it our sign? It's down, isn't it? Who hits those things? Oh, is that what it was? There was an accident? Wow. Anyway, so maybe we can look at that.
Okay. I'm not sure if it was turned in or not, so we'll
I don't
look
know
at
if it was or not, but I saw it and I thought maybe I'd bring it up. All right, what was the other thing? Oh, I had a Park Feet meeting, thanks to Councilman Swift who set it up, and we discussed the possibility. There is some reluctance. The biggest issue we're having is getting the permits for the event. The ABC and the Health Department are reluctant to give out those based on the current circumstances we're experiencing with COVID. So I called both our state senator and our state assembly individual and asked both of them for some assistance. And that was that was a couple days ago. It was last Friday, I think. And I haven't heard anything back yet, but that doesn't mean something won't come back. So I'll keep everybody posted on that because it seems that I told both of them that this town could use a boost. And I think if we could have that event this year, that would definitely help us. Okay, I did that. Okay, and I got a call today about a Bank of the West. A local individual, I think it was Ann, called me and wanted me to go down and discuss. They're asking all the questions about deposits, and I said, I don't do that. I mean, I don't know what I don't know what's going on down at the bank, but that's not something we do. The past bank manager is retired. That was Lovett.
Correct.
And they have a new gal there, and I can't recall her name right this moment. But she told Ann, because I tried to call them, they wouldn't answer the phone. I just wanted, because I also have an account there, just to find out what's going on. And Ann spoke with her and said that any misunderstanding can be cleared up and that they have a certain responsibility to depositors, that they need to find out certain information when they're making these deposits. Well, some people were getting offended by those questions, but they're out there by the law. It's not their choice. It's kind of forced on them, is what she told me, or Ann told me. Okay, the last thing is with the development on Brennan and 120. If there's a way we can figure this out and get it going, I think it's a nice little boost for tax base. It's nice to have some business coming into town, and I think it'd be great. But we're gonna have to be creative, and we're gonna have to do some things differently. But I think we have it in us to do that. So I'm hoping that between staff and the property owners that we can come up with a creative way to deal with that. So that's all I have to say. Is there anything else, gentlemen, you missed? You want a last chance? We're out of here. Meeting's over. It's gonna be creative.
This conference is no longer being recorded.